What's going on, guys? It's Ebes. We are back finally with another video. I've been away for a little bit simply because I've been moving into my new apartment. Super excited about that. Been here for about a week and absolutely loving it. Wanted to make this first video back a real good one for you. And it's actually something that has, for me and my agency, drastically increased my closing rate. So, you know, we're not going to talk about prospecting and that kind of stuff in this video. There are 1,000 different ways to prospect. You can cold call, you can send out emails, you can use LinkedIn, you can use Upwork, 1,000 different ways to do that. What I'm going to focus on today is once you've actually got those people on the call, how to close them, and a really simple process that I use. It's actually a proven process that you probably haven't heard before, that is really gonna skyrocket your conversion rates. One, because of the simplicity of it, so you simply cannot mess this up. You know, there's no advanced techniques in there, although in itself it is advanced because what it does on a psychological level with your prospect. But actually what it's doing is getting your prospect to do all the talking, qualify them to you, putting yourself in the position as the doctor. And by the end of it, all you need to do is prescribe them the solution, which they'll be begging for by the end of it. So let's jump into it. Typically how your sales calls are going to go, you know, you might have your call over Zoom, it might be in person, it might be over Skype, it might be over the phone. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. This process applies. And, you know, since I've started using this, my calls have really started to get a lot more, you know, I'm hitting that logical level, but now I'm really hitting that emotional level. And personally, I always found it a little bit more tricky to do that. Being here in the UK, you know, we're very different to how Americans work. We're a little bit more conservative, you know, we like to stand in queues, we like to say I'm good even if I'm not good, so we typically don't like to express our emotions as much. So what this does is it's a really natural way of getting those real reasons why people have jumped on a call with you out of them, which then gives you the leverage to be able to provide them with the correct solution, which is, of course, if you're watching this, got to be your marketing services or coaching services, depending on who you are. So let's jump in. So once you've done your pleasantries, you know, you've asked where they're calling from, you've got a little bit of rapport, what you're going to say is something like this. John, before we jump into the call, there are 2 questions that I ask every single person who I have a call with. And I ask these 2 questions because it lets me get really an understanding about you and how I can help you. Now I ask these questions to everybody, so I'm just going to jump in and ask them right now if that's okay. Wait for them to say yes, give you their permission, and what you're going to ask is you're going to say, so why me and why now? And what I mean by that is, why did you choose to get on this call with me, or, you know, my agency? And why really at this particular point in your life did you choose to do this? And now you're going to sit back and you're going to watch the magic happen. Because what they're going to do is they're going to lay down all of their problems, why they've decided to get on this call, the pains, the frustrations, the fears that they've been experiencing in their business, and the desires and the goals and the ambitions that they want to achieve. Because you've got to remember, people are motivated by 2 things. 2 things.
It's the level of stupidity is incredible.
Fear, which is the biggest one, and pleasure. And you can put that however you want, fear and desire, however you want to say it. But it's basically a good and a bad thing. It's a carrot and a stick, right? That old saying. People are literally as simple as that. And they're going to walk you through and they're going to tell you all about, you know, their different problems and what they want to do with their business. And you're just going to sit there and you're going to shut up. And that is the number one problem most people have on their calls, and salespeople, is As soon as they say, what we really need is to be, present on social media, and you want to say, oh, I do that. No. Sit there, shut up, let them talk. And sometimes, they're going to talk for 20 minutes. That's fine. Put it on mute. Take down your notes if they're just waffling. You can do something else. Doesn't matter. You've got to let them talk so they feel they're understood. And you'll be there, expressing with body language. I understand.
Oi, Churchill, could you save me money on car insurance?
Oh, yes.
And this is really where you're gathering intelligence. Now, this is a super important bit of your call because you're gathering intelligence about them, kind of understanding what their problems are. Now, once they've told you those problems, it's time to move on to the next step. And once they've said everything they needed to say, because look, a lot of the time people aren't going to tell you everything straight away. You haven't warmed them up properly. That rapport may have not been fully built. So what you're going to say is, awesome, thank you. Now, let's jump into it. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and all I ask is that you answer them honestly. And while we're having the conversation, feel free to butt in and stop if you have your own questions, and I'll answer your questions honestly. Does that sound fair? And of course they're going to say yes, because that's completely fair. It's a bit of give and take. But the reason why it's so important to say this is because most salespeople, the way they're portrayed by the media, you've got films like The Wolf of Wall Street, like your Gordon Gekko, Boiler Room, all these kinds of films. They portray salespeople as, snake oil salespeople, people who only care about themselves, don't have their best interests at heart, right? And that gets implanted in people's minds because it's in the mainstream media. So what you'll notice in that question that I just asked is I used the words honest and fair. And those two words are, in a sense, the opposite of what what most people portray salespeople to be. So by doing that, you're just implanting that, you are honest and fair, and that you're going to have an honest and fair conversation. So just a little side note on that. And then what you're going to do, you're just going to ask them the questions you need to know. Now, this is going to be different for every person. So, of course, you're going to have to find out things about bit more about their product. You're going to find out how many customers they have. You're going to find out how much revenue they're doing per month, what revenue they want to get to per month, and then how to close that gap. That's called a gap analysis. You can look that up if you want to get some more info about it. Once you've asked your questions, it's typically going to be between 5 and 10 questions. You can then ask them at the end, would you like to tell me a little bit about what we can do and how we can help? And of course, by this point, they're going to say yes, because you would have gone through all of this. And then simply your service is just going to be an exact solution to all their problems they've laid out. And it's as simple as that. And you wait for that close. Now, closing is a huge topic in itself, how to, rebuttal and how to loop back and really get people to eventually knock down all their objections until they say yes. Now I have to make that's a whole course in itself, but essentially that will get you up to the close if you've done everything correctly until that point. So in summary, it's super simple. All you're doing is asking them why me and why now, and you're going to shut up, and that's going to be the bulk of the call. It's going to let people explain why you are the right fit for them. It's going to and that's the biggest hurdle, because you're not explaining why you're right for them. They're explaining it themselves, and that's the biggest hurdle instantly overcame. And then why now? Why is it important that they need to take the business to the next level now? Usually these are questions we have to figure out from them, but they're telling us. And then after that, you ask your normal questions to get all of the information you need, and boom, you close them at the end. So I hope this has helped you. Use this. I promise you this works. It's not only worked for me, but I know many other people have generated millions of dollars in closed sales using this exact process. Adapt those middle questions for your own personal services and information that you need to get. And I hope this helps. Catch you soon.